Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Winging It FM pod. We're back for episode 3. Yes, that's right, we've consecutively recorded for 3 weeks in a row, and we're back. We do have a guest with us today, so we'll say hello to the guest first. So how you doing, Dave?
Hi Cookie, I'm doing very well, thanks mate. How are you?
Awesome, and we've got the regulars with us with TheSammyDoda FM. How you doing, mate?
Good day, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. And Rampant FM, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome, so everyone is doing fine, and we're just going to go through our little structure as usual. So we're going to go through our Football Manager save updates first, then we're going to talk about our youth intake thoughts in Football Manager, then any memorable youth intakes we've had throughout the series of Football Manager, could be any year of the Football Manager era, and then finally how to get a decent youth intake, followed by the quiz and our creator of the week before we plug the hell out of it. So Dave, Football Manager save updates, how's it going?
Well, for those of you who've been watching the series on YouTube, it's a test series. I've decided to take Manchester United and put them outside of the Football League, with a background story of the Glazers have gone. They've decided they don't want anything else to do with United. They've gone. The money's gone as well, and Mourinho has been sacked upon being relegated from the Football League. We won everything there was to win in the conference outside of the Football League, top of League 2 as it stands, and through to the 4th round of the FA Cup after beating Millwall in the 3rd round. So it's going well. It's probably a little bit too easy for me still, but people seem to like the idea, and I am enjoying it to an extent. So we'll win more titles this season and try to get back to the Premier League before I finish the series, hopefully at the end of the month.
That's good. Do you think you're going to be doing YouTube for FM19?
I will be, yeah. I've announced it already. Actually, I'm going to be taking Linfield, a team from my country, and putting them in the English League in the lower tiers, outside of the Football League to start, and then it's a case of us just trying to conquer English football. That'll be the main save, and then I'm actually collaborating with Boot FM. We've got a nice little idea that we're hashing out, and a proper official announcement will be put out on that closer to the time.
Awesome, sounds great. Sammy, I know you're buzzing to get your Luton save updates on, so go on.
It's time to relax a bit, yeah? So, I'm 2 years in the future now, so I've gone through another 2 seasons, obviously. And then, I don't even remember in the first season that I even finished. I think it was like 12th, so it wasn't that great. But, the insane thing, so I signed 5 amazing gems, and I might have won the Europa League. But then in the second season, yeah, again, I had an amazing time. Obviously, being in the Champions League this time, I finished second in the Prem, which is even better, beating Manchester United, which is very surprising considering it is FM and they are OP. But I might have won the Champions League.
Only might have.
Yeah, just might have.
Congratulations then. Who did you beat in the final?
I can't remember. I think. Oh yeah, I remember now. It's Bayern Munich.
Nice.
No, it wasn't actually. That was in the semi-finals, so I beat them like 7-0 or something. I can't remember who it was. But yeah.
Awesome. So, all things Luton are going well. And Rampant, how's your Football Manager save going?
Let me just start by apologising to you. Rememberable is actually a word, believe it or not. I've just Googled it. I was Googling while you guys were talking. It's a bit old English, but it is actually a word. So, yeah, my save's going alright. I've not really played much since the last time we spoke. I did get that second win over at Hibernian for 2 in a row. I play Celtic in the next game, so that'll be a tough challenge. I believe Brendan Rodgers has actually left Celtic now in my game, so it'll be interesting to see who takes charge of Celtic. So yeah, doing pretty well with 2 wins in a row finally after a bit of a slump. Obviously Celtic are going to be a challenge. I don't think I've ever bet them in the save yet, so it'll be an interesting one.
Nah, hopefully you get to beat Celtic. I am more of a Rangers fan than Celtic, so.
And I am actually a Rangers fan, so that helps.
Not gonna lie, for me it's St Mirren, so I'm out of that equation.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's just because of Lewis Morgan.
Who's now at Celtic?
Yeah.
More Rangers myself, actually.
Yeah, so on to my save. Uploaded the 3rd episode on the Fallen Will Rise series on YouTube, where we didn't have a good time. We lost 4-1 to Stuttgart.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not really a good time. Since then, we've tactically changed it up, and yeah, we're heading towards the next live com. So obviously, when I load up that save to record the next episode, that will be what I'll be doing. I think we're against Hoffenheim or someone like that. Anyway.
Where are you in the league currently, out of interest?
Well, Stuttgart's the first game of the season, so
Ah,
currently near the bottom.
good.
So at the moment, the Fallen are not rising; they are falling even further.
Failing a challenge, typical. The cookie has officially crumbled, everyone.
So how long did it take before the first crumble joke came?
I think in the trophy tournament, it was Juan that started this crumbling.
No, actually, I'll tell you a story, Cookie. When you played Moza on a pre-season friendly, I was making a lot of Cookie jokes in his Twitch stream. I don't know if you saw them, obviously, but it was Cookie puns.
Yeah, I think he was telling me actually. Yeah, I don't even have a response, to be honest.
It's just childish.
We love you, really, mate.
So moving away from my crumbling Football Manager save, youth intake. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Youth intake in Football Manager. Not typically Football Manager 2018, but just generally. Youth intake. Anyone want to jump in with some thoughts?
I generally like them. I think they add something to the game. Actually, it's something I really look forward to. It depends, obviously, if you get a bad one, then you're not. It's not that bad. It's not great. But if you do get one of the, I think the best thing you can get is like a player of this generation. I always look out for that, and it's definitely something that I look forward to coming towards the end of the season when I get a youth intake. I think they're really, really cool things if you get decent players. That is.
Frustration.
I've never had a good youth take in my life. It's so frustrating. Every single season I look forward to it so much. But I get nothing. But then I love the features still there. I'm not sure what's with the element of getting new potential gems in your team every season. It's amazing for the end of the season though.
Is that because you usually play with Luton though, Sammy?
Oh, come on. Give me a rest.
I'm just saying, they haven't got the most impressive youth facilities or anything.
Actually, for League One, it's fairly good.
Fair enough.
Get it right.
I'm the same, Sammy, mate. I get frustrated with youth intakes. Even at Manchester United and that, you know, or if I'm Cornell United or another club in FM, it's like, yeah, best like youth intake of our generation or something like that. And then you go through them and they're like 1 star, 1.5 star, and you're like, nah, release, bye. You know, they're just absolutely terrible. Otherwise, I do like them other than that, but as well. Everybody knows all the youth intake for this country and that country, and then it's literally kind of like a cheat code. Like, oh, I don't have any money. I'm not going to develop my own use, but I know the date for Panama or something like that. So I'm just going to go and raid all those clubs and get like super cheap regens or new gens. I know this is a controversial topic at the moment. Maybe it should be gen neutral or something. But yeah, for me that's just a bit of a cheat code as well. Like,
yeah, I have to agree with Dave, to be honest. Like going to the abnormal countries and picking up absolute stars at the age of 14 for like 10 grand. I think it is a little bit of a cheat code, if you want to call it that. But I've never had a decent youth intake, even at when I've been Man United or my other saves with Bournemouth. Never had one. I've had one that's called like you get it where it's like golden generation, but then you look at the players and they're absolutely tosh.
Yeah, there is a trick to it, by the way, to get a decent youth intake. I do agree with yourself and Dave. I've never been one for going to like America or Panama or Jamaica or wherever to get basically the sort of unrealistic type players. But certainly in terms of my club youth intake, I definitely look into that. But there is a trick to get a decent youth intake, certainly.
Yeah, I agree with all of you on all those comments.
So on to our next sort of mini topic. Has anyone had any memorable youth intakes on an FM save?
Lots.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
No point me even answering that question.
So Rampant, do you want to expand any further on your memorable?
My best ones were probably at Atalanta in Italy, who, in fairness, I think have probably one of the world's best youth sort of facilities in world football. And Monaco, I think, was another one in Ligue 1 or whatever it is. Yeah, I had two fantastic youth intakes. I think they were both in FM18, I think. It might have been 16, but I think it was FM17. But yeah, fantastic. Oh, pretty much, I had at least 5 or 6 players that became like world class, if you will, or had the potential to be world class.
Every single youth intake I've ever had has just been like 2-star players who's just been right in my reserves and never played a single game for the club in the Premier League. Ridiculous.
Sammy is getting angrier by the second.
He might get even angrier with me because my best pulls have been with Carlisle United. There was one regen in particular, well, 2 regens in particular, both Scottish, because Carlisle generally get a number of Scottish intakes, players through their intake. I can't for the life of me remember the positions, but I think I ended up getting about 35 million, including all the add-ons and conditions, each for the players, which is absolutely fantastic. One went to Liverpool. The other one, which I was actually cursing them because I had nobody else in that position at the time. And the other one I think went to Arsenal, and they both went on to get 50 plus caps for Scotland, regulars in their club sides. The best English one I ever got had like 15 passing or something like that, around about the same thereabouts, give or take 1 or 2 attributes either way. Same for vision, same for technique. So I just renamed him Paul Scholes. He never got the Paul Scholes standard, but for what it was and where we were in the league structure at the time and our facilities, he was an absolute belter. About 6. That's why he got the name Scholes. He was short too. He wasn't ginger, unfortunately. Although sometimes he did go ginger. You know what the faces are like on FM, but certainly like the best youth player I've ever had in terms of technical qualities. Very different to the Scottish lads. They were a lot better physically than the English one, and mentally they were quite a bit better too.
You really do know the best way to remind me, don't you?
Yep, and I say it with a big smile on my face.
I think my best intake was on Football Manager 2012, and I think I was FC United in League One. I think I got them up to League One, and I got an intake, and I had probably about 2 players that were like League 2 standard already. So that was probably the best I've ever had, to be honest.
The best players are the players that are already good for the Vanarama National League North and South. That's what I'm saying.
Is that your level, Sammy?
Oh, dear Lord.
In fairness to Sammy, I actually quite like Luton as a team, to be honest. I think they are pretty run well, and they're actually a good team. So I'll stick up for you there, Sammy. And they play in orange as well, so.
Weren't doing that bad.
I mean, for me, when it comes to young players, I generally just buy them in, to be honest. Buy them in a bit older, especially if League One or Championship level, with a club like Carnal or a club with a bit of a higher sort of fan base. Just kind of buy them in, train them up a bit, sell them on. It's kind of Moneyball scheme really, but to an extent. But I just find it's a lot more productive. Like the money you save from not having certain levels of facilities in terms of maintenance and upgrading them and all that sort of stuff, it's probably better spent putting into your first team before you get to a certain level, because young players only develop, up to a certain level playing League 2 football, playing League 1 football, and then it's at that point, you're just kind of wasting their development.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make, especially in the lower leagues like League 1, League 2. I think getting income for players is probably a key point to moving up the leagues as quickly as you can.
Certainly, yeah. It's all about money, in football now. Or if you get the region/gem, whatever you want to call them, and just train them up for a bit and just sell them on, it can really work well, because you can get some good quality players to replace them, and then get some, and then sell them, and then the whole process just repeats itself until you're in the Prem.
So moving on to our last youth intake topic, before we head over to the quiz room. How do we get a decent youth intake? I won't ask Sammy.
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, I mean, Rampant,
Yes.
I was going to say, you seem like you've had the best intakes.
So obviously, improving your youth facilities and your training and whatnot, a lot of people tend to forget the head of youth development. He has to have particular set of abilities, current ability, player current ability, player potential ability. Basically they need to be high. He has to have high determination to obviously go out and get the players, and he needs to have quite high tactical knowledge to get a player that's kind of suited to your team. Basically, if you're short on, say, a right back, he'll get you a really decent right back in. So that's pretty much some of the basic stuff. Sorry, are you alright, Sammy?
Yeah,
I'm not alright. I just realised what I've done.
What have you done?
Pretty much, I've not changed my head of youth development since I was in League 2.
Yeah, that's that. So head of youth development is like a massive. If you're a small club and you don't have enough for junior coaching and all this sort of stuff that Dave and Cookie were talking about, you need a decent head of youth development to get at least sort of off the standard players that for your league sort of thing. But also I have a sort of.
The weird thing is that my head of youth development is already quite decent, and then I also have I've also been upgrading my youth facilities for quite some time now, and I have superb youth facilities for the Premier League, and I'm still getting in with terrible players. I'm not sure if it's just luck or what.
Well, I think I think that luck is involved, but certainly, if you do there is sort of like the right things to do in terms of what I said, like head of youth development is a key sort of role, because he's the guy that sort of brings in your players, and then obviously your youth facilities, which you said you've upgraded, but also a lot of you guys had said that you thought the players were quite trash. I've turned pretty much a lot of my youth players that looked really bad, I loaned them out to the sort of lower league teams, and they've turned absolutely class. That's what's amazing about FM. It's quite realistic. If you're given a 16-year-old a game in, say, League 2, he'll turn into a League 2 player, and then loan him out the next season, he'll turn into a League 1 player. Loan him out the next season, he'll turn into... You have to give the youth a chance, basically. Some of them are not going to be rated very high, but you can certainly, if you're loaning them out to teams that need them, they will become quality players, hopefully. Sometimes it doesn't work, obviously, depending on the team and their training facilities and all that, but really, I never look at a youth and think he's utter crap unless he's rated like maybe 80 or something like that. He's never going to be decent, but there's players that I look at that are maybe... If I was in the Premiership, for example, and I saw a player that's currently looking at like League 2 ability, I wouldn't automatically dismiss him as being utterly garbage, because if he's at League 2 ability, I'll loan him out to a League 2 team, and then the next season he might be at League 1 ability, and so forth, so on, and then eventually, the time he becomes 20 or 21, he should be at Premiership quality. So I think some people look at, like, you know, in the wrong way sort of thing.
But then can you just play them in like the under-23s or under-18s and have the same effect?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously, you're under-23s and you're under-18s in England? I forgot, because I've not played it this season. But you could probably have them in your youth squads, and you could probably still do well. But I always prefer loaning them out to give them proper games at like some of the lower clubs, because I always find that works better than just having them in your youth team. But sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends. But I do, like, what I usually do is, if I'm a Premiership team, is try and get a League 2, League 1 or a Championship side as a sort of an affiliate, and then I can just chuck them to the affiliate if they're good enough to play, basically.
Yeah. I'll look into that tomorrow then, I think.
That works for me. That's worked for me a lot, so I don't know if it has really just worked for me doing that.
Yeah, I have to add on to that, like, I take star ratings on Football Manager with a pinch of salt, because they don't always mean, like, that player's going to be rubbish or he's going to be good. I think cause when I was in the Vanarama National League with, I think it was, is it Filed? I think that's pronounced that way. But I had brought in this striker, and he was only rated like one star, 1.5 stars, when my top players were rated like 4 stars, and he was banging in the goals.
Yeah. Well, for an example, in my FM save this season, I got a guy from Dundee United he was a regen or whatever gen, called David Clarkson, and I just got him because he was young. I think he was on like the under-20s in the Scotland team, and he looked pretty decent. And now, when I actually eventually got him, because I signed him on a pre-contract, he came to the team and he was actually my best centre-back. And I was like, what the hell? So he's obviously had a really decent season at Dundee United because he's getting games. And now he's like my best centre-back. I'm like, okay, that's crazy that I got this guy for free. But yeah, it can happen with these regens. You can, if they just have a wee bit of potential, or you give them game time, they do tend to work out, at least at a standard that like they can maybe do something for your team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, adding to what you said, Rampant, about how to get good new gens or youth intakes, whatever you want to call them. So I think the main things to have in place is a decent youth recruitment, decent junior coaching. I'm told that youth facilities develop players before they get into your under-18s.
Yep.
So that would be the youth intake, and training facilities develop the players once they're in your under-18s.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything you said about the head of youth development.
I think that's one of the key things. I'm not too sure if the director of football plays a part in that as well. I don't tend to go with a director of football, so it's really just the head of youth development. I think it does play a part if you do go with a director of football. I think it might play a part if you do have one, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I mean, like, I myself with this, I'm pretty thorough when it comes to my backroom staff. There's certain types of backroom staff I just won't touch with a barge pole, and there are others, like, I agree 100% with getting a solid head of youth development in. I generally make sure he has high working with youngsters as well.
That's what I missed.
Personality for me is key, because there's certain personality traits that even if you have a young youth player that comes in, that your scout, whether he's good or bad, says he's got 5-star ability, this lad, but if he doesn't have the right personality behind it, he's going to be well below that potential ability, regardless of training facilities or coaches or anything else that you throw at it. So for me, personality is key. One head of youth development I always get in is Bernhard Peters. I think he was at Hoffenheim at one point. I'm not sure if he's still there now, but I always get him in. Obviously with him being German as well, it kind of helps. They know their youth stuff in real life. But I do tend to hire a director of football who has high current ability and potential ability in terms of his scouting. The same with his working with youngsters. I always generally try to put those two in, and again personality with that. I agree that with yourselves that looking at the star ratings and the scout reports, they should be taken with a pinch of salt. I mean, at the end of the day, the game's modelled to be as realistic as possible, and there have been scouts who have gotten things so wrong in real life as well. So obviously, it's only natural that your scout's going to get stuff wrong. I don't loan youth players out before they're 18 because they don't benefit from playing games until they're 18. So I generally keep them in the youth squad right through until then, and then just sort of assess, okay, what standard is this player at? Is he going to benefit from going to that standard, or am I going to try and get him at a higher standard at a club who need the player and who will give him game time? All those things sort of come into play for me. Say that I've had a youth player with 1-star ability and potential who's then gone up to 3-star. I guess that's kind of depended on what, if it was Manchester United and that player's 1-star for me, but then he signs for a League 2 club and all of a sudden he's 3-star in that. I think all those kind of come into account for me as well. But it's not an easy thing to judge a player and make those decisions, and ultimately for me, going back to the personality again, if it's a determined player or a professional player or a player that has positive personality traits, I'll always sort of choose those over ones who are injury prone or who have negative personality traits, regardless of star potential, just because generally with the way that the game works, you have a higher chance of those players developing into a decent standard, whether you decide then to sell them on or they go into your first team. That's just how I look at it.
Just touching on what Dave said there, yeah, I definitely agree. Like, is the way I look at it is definitely player to player basis. If there is someone that, like a team that's way down the leagues and they try to get a player on loan and they maybe don't have the best facilities or the best training, I'll probably not loan them out and keep them in my youth team. But certainly, if there's a team that has like a decent sort of standard of training and facilities, I would probably loan them out. But it really is dependent on like a player by player basis, or certainly the club that's trying to get a player on loan as well. So I do look at that. It's interesting what you said about personalities. I agree quite 100%. I think that plays is probably going to play a bigger role going further into FM with the personalities and whatnot. It's definitely came on with the dynamics this season, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with that in future FMs like FM19, FM20, blah blah blah.
Do you think as well, mate, that if you had a choice of putting a youngster on the bench and him getting, say, 5 starting appearances and maybe 5 substitute appearances, that he's going to benefit more from doing that at the age of 18 than being loaned out to a League 2 club? Because that's generally the way that I kind of work with it, depending on the position and whatnot as well.
I always sort of loan them out in the understanding that they'll be pretty much first team. If they're like, I'll never loan them out if they're going to be like a rotation. It's always sort of first team player. They have to be first team. If they're not playing the first team, I'll just recall them. I always keep that in the contract that I can recall them. Or there's an interesting thing in Scotland as well. I don't know if it's the same in England, but you can actually allow your youth players to play for your essentially under 20 team as well, so they can actually be playing professional football for a team as well as playing for your under 20s during the season. So it's pretty cool. I think that happens in real life in Scotland. I don't know if it's the same thing in England, but certainly that does help a lot in the Scottish leagues.
Yeah, the option is there on FM to do that. I'm not sure if it happens in real life.
Being able to play two different teams, does it harm them anyway?
Well, I think they're more prone to injuries and stuff, but at least they're getting a lot of game time, and that just helps obviously their chance of progressing and their ability and whatnot. But I think it will have some issues with injuries and whatnot if they do play too much. But I don't know, because they're kind of away from your team, so it's hard to really judge.
Do you think a player benefits more from playing 46 League 2 games as opposed to playing 10 Premier League games? Do you think they'll benefit more from playing the lower level or playing less and playing at the higher level, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, but really, I don't know. I mean, how high is, say, an English under 23 side compared to maybe a League 2 side? You know what I mean? I don't know what sort of difference there are in terms of clash, really, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if, obviously, if they're getting a run in like the first team, that's completely different. But if they're playing for your youth side, I do believe, I can't remember what competition it is, but there is a competition where I think the under 23s and whatnot do play.
So the Jaycee trophy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure if any under 23s have won that recently. So surely, like a League 2 side would probably be of better standard than maybe not of better standard. Obviously, Chelsea and Tottenham and teams like that probably have better facilities than some of the League 2 sides. But certainly, I mean, in terms of the player, surely they're similar standard to like a League 2 or a League 1 side. I'm just assuming, obviously.
I'd probably tend to agree. I don't rate under 23 football whatsoever. I think in FM the benefits for your players is negligible. I think it's a waste of time. So I either have my players in the under 18s, lads that I don't want in the under 23s, and then I have potential first teamers. Either they're loaned out if I'm playing Premier League to a championship club where they're going to get first team football every week. I'm a bit reluctant sending them down to League 2 because in quite a few cases that I've had before, the level hasn't been high enough. It hasn't benefited them. In terms of the way that the game works, my understanding is that I remember reading something, I don't know if it's Cleon or somebody else who did an experiment on this or had written something about it, but I've got it stuck in my head that your young player after the age of 18 is going to benefit more from playing less games at a higher level than playing more games at a lower level. That's why I kind of brought that into the discussion to see what your thoughts were. But that's maybe something that one of us or a few of us can kind of experiment with in FM19 with the new training that might be coming in and see then we can actually sort of gauge, compare the two results, and see if that is the case. I think it'd certainly be an interesting experiment to do, rather than, what if Wales was given £1 billion to their league or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm still very interested, and I have done a few small experiments on how coaches develop their own attributes within the game, because I don't think this is something people have, really tackled yet, and which is really important for when you are developing young players. Okay, you can't afford this coach who has 16, 17 attacking and technique, for example, because you're in League 2, but there's this coach who has the potential to be just as good as that. You can get him on a smaller wage to develop your youth intake, but he progresses at a certain rate. I just think that aspect of the game would be interesting, and maybe bring a new dimension to the whole youth intake and the approach to it.
You could well be right, Dave. I'm not actually 100%, I'm not, like Cleon, he's obviously done a lot of writing on this sort of thing, and he's probably done experiments, as you say, but I'm not 100. I'm just obviously just going with my own sort of personal experience, if you will. I tend to, it's the way I set up my club as well. If I'm a lower league club, I always try and get, I ask the board for lots of coaches basically, to make sure that basically all the training is getting covered. So basically the way I have my training set up, the way I have my club set up is probably different from the likes of, well, I guess everyone that were, Cookie, Sammy, you do it probably different from how I do it. I'm obviously just talking about what's worked for me, but as I say, there's so many different factors to it. Everyone's going to probably get different results, which is quite fascinating. I think that's the good thing about FM, really. As I said, it's realistic based on what you're doing. You do have an impact, even though you're probably not thinking you do. And certainly, you mentioned it earlier, most of my coaches, because I tend to go with a younger team, all my coaches have high working with youngsters as well. So again, it's one of those things where it's really dependent on what you're doing, and it's all sort of intertwined, I guess, on how you're running it. I don't think it's based on one thing or another. It's based on everything.
Man management's another attribute actually that kind of gets left by the wayside. If you look at what makes the best coaches and all this sort of stuff, I don't really see much of an emphasis being on man management. And for me, coaching in Germany and all that sort of stuff, man management from any coach is probably just as important as being able to work with youngsters and all these other things. So I'll be very interested to see as well if man management as an attribute, if that actually has any sort of impact on the effectiveness of coaches on youth intakes in terms of their development, and maybe even as well the type of youths that come in the intake. Because naturally, if you're a director of football or head of youth development and you're going around, you're doing your scouting, players aren't going to sign for you if your man management skills are in the gutter. Do you know what I mean? I mean that attribute probably doesn't influence it at the moment, but I'd be very interested to see, even if it does have a partial influence or will have more of an influence in the future. I think it makes sense anyway.
Agreed, mate. Yeah, totally. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think personality is going to be a massive thing going forward in FM. But yeah, it all goes into account. I think they take it all into account. Certainly, there's, as I said earlier, there's things I look for in coaches, like if I'm going for a goalkeeping coach or a coach to basically teach forwards and stuff like that. It's different things I look for, and it's probably, as I said, different from the likes of yourself and everyone else, Cookie, Sammy. It's how you play the game, really.
What I don't understand is why every single time, pretty much every single time I hear people talk about FM and the coaches and staff in particular, they just make their head of football or someone in high ranks just fire all their staff for you, which I feel is kind of ridiculous if it isn't a director of football challenge, because the whole point is to get staff that suit what you want, not suit what he wants, which could be a complete philosophy.
Yeah. Well, someone I actually know, Todd Stockley, the FM journeyman, done a director of football basically challenge where he had a director of football that was absolutely rubbish, and he basically let him run the club basically, do all the transfers and stuff and see what he would come up with. So it was interesting. It was quite funny. And I just never go with a director of football. Never really have. There's some clubs that I've had to basically go with one, but I basically turn off their everything they do because I don't really like it. It's just a thing I've never really liked in FM.
Scouting knowledge is all they're useful for. Sorry, Sam. Scouting knowledge is all I use the director of football for. I mean, I have full control at the club, training, whatever, coaching, absolutely everything. Nobody makes a decision without me giving it the get-go. Director of football for me is just about expanding that scouting knowledge and being able to help me find players, from further afield, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like having them. I use my head scout for that, a similar thing. It's just I guess it's just a preference.
Yeah.
I just never went with one.
I don't even like them in real life.
Yeah, in my Luton save currently, I've just been swapping between having director of football and not. So I've had quite a few during my jurisdiction so far, but I've decided against using them just because it's just wasting money, isn't it? There's no need.
Okay, so I think that sort of wraps up our youth intake discussion. Yeah, I was going to echo Sammy there and say the knowledge of Dave and Rampant has been well received by myself.
You're welcome.
So now moving on to Rampant's favourite part of the podcast, the quiz. So as the topic today was youth intake, the quiz is based around youth, and that's all I'm going to say actually, because it might give too much away.
Wait, then surely I should be the best here because I'm the youngest, right?
Is Dave taking part as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say that I'll actually get any questions right. No promises here, but if I get them all wrong, Cookie can just, edit it out anyway, and we'll be grand then.
Don't worry, you're in good company.
I think you'll be happy to know, Rampant, there's actually no Arsenal-based questions.
Oh,
Yes.
damn it. We agreed last week to only ask some questions. What are you talking about?
It's just the way it happens, Sammy.
They have been cheating, Dave. Don't let them kid you. They have been cheating. They've been using Arsenal questions that I would have no clue about, and that's why I've not done well with these quizzes.
Well, Arsenal are pretty irrelevant nowadays anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree. As a Spurs fan, I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, Arsenal have won more trophies than Tottenham, though, haven't they? Arsenal have won more trophies recently than Tottenham, though. So anyway, banter aside, let's get back to the quiz. Sorry for sidetracking there. I know.
Yeah. So rules of the quiz: the first person to buzz in with their name. So Rampant, Dave, and Sammy. So first person to buzz in with their name, basically just saying your name. We'll get to answer the question. If that person gets the question right, then we move on. They get the point. If that person gets a question wrong, then it's passed over to the next person who buzzes in.
Okay.
Are we all ready?
We are.
Okay, so question number 1. Phil Foden is registered as the youngest ever player to play in the Barclays Premier League. But how old was he?
Rampant FM.
Rampant?
17.
Do you know the days?
Are you kidding me? You're changing the questions here. So it's 265. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'll give you the point anyway, because it is 17. I thought you were going to say the exact number of days then, but it's 17 years and 350 days.
Oh, I was
No,
close. I thought it was
no,
going to be
if-
300, and then I changed it over. Oh, okay.
If Rampant was have got exactly the day as well, I would have said give him 2 points. So.
I would have eaten my hat.
I would have fallen off my chair.
I've never done that much research on the quiz. I didn't actually do any research, and that's why I keep failing these.
I
Right.
haven't either, mate. I haven't either.
Sammy doesn't know what research is.
No, what is research? What is it?
Okay, so moving on to question number 2. Football Manager favourite Freddie Adu is the youngest ever professional footballer to play, but what club did he play for back
Rampant
in
FM,
Rampant?
DC United.
Damn it.
Is correct.
Yes.
What is with this? What's with this today, Rampant? Honestly.
I know. I do a lot of Wonder Kids videos, guys. I do a lot of Wonder Kids content.
Okay, I got you.
So
I'm gonna
question
say
number 3. The youngest ever player to play at a World Cup as of the 1st of June 2018 was 17 years and 249 days old.
Rampant FM, Kylian Mbappe.
He's not 17. surely.
Incorrect.
Oh, damn it.
Sammy,
Sammy?
is it Daniel Arzani, by chance?
Incorrect as well. I'll finish the question for you, Dave. He was 17 years and 249 days old, but who was he?
Can I answer again? I forgot the answer.
Without knowing which World Cup, I wouldn't be able to hazard a guess.
Okay, so yeah, no points, but Rampant, do you want to have a guess?
Is it Pele?
No, it's not.
Oh, you're kidding.
Is
Is
Isn't Pele like the youngest goal scorer?
Yeah, I think so.
That's maybe what I'm confusing it with.
Obviously, this was before the World Cup that's just gone, so I'm not sure if Mbappe has surpassed this or not.
I think I should maybe get a half point if he has.
But the answer to the question is Norman Whiteside
All right.
of
Who?
Northern Ireland.
Who?
Bit before my time.
Oh, you've let the team down
Who's
there,
this guy?
Dave.
Well, it's a bit before my time, Norman, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a very old player, in fairness. Okay, so this next question might be a bit controversial. So question number 4. Typically, what European club is well known for having a great academy?
Dave.
Dave?
I might not even be right, but first thing I think of is Barcelona with La Masia.
Well, I did say it would be controversial, but Barcelona's not the answer I've got.
Rampant FM,
Rampant?
Bayern Munich.
Again, not the answer I've
Oh.
got.
Obviously I'm last. I'm gonna have to say, is it Ajax?
No.
That is the answer I've got.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. I can understand. I can understand that.
Yeah, no, they have great users.
God. Not really controversial, to be honest. They do have an excellent youth academy.
Well, I
I
just
was
had,
just thinking. Yeah, I was thinking because you said controversially. I was thinking it was going to be one of the bigger clubs.
I just went for a club that's produced better players. Well, more recently anyway, but
yeah, I think typically Ajax have a well-known academy, but I just wanted to cover my back. We don't want Rampant thinking we're cheating.
nah, that's fair enough when you think of the Dutch players that came through that academy and whatnot, and the average age of the first team squad, mostly academy graduates as well. Like, yeah, my bad.
So moving on to the last question then, question number 5. So hopefully you've learnt something during this podcast. Can you name one thing that will contribute to a good youth intake on Football Manager?
FM.
I mean,
Rampant.
Potential player ability from scouts.
It's not something I've got written down.
Sammy,
I was
Sammy.
I was second earlier.
good youth facilities.
Youth facilities is correct.
I mean, come on, that is terrible. We need a bonus question. That's on it. Come on.
I didn't realise we
right.
had to shout again after you got it wrong. I thought it was passed to the person who had then said it second.
Oh wait,
no.
Dave got there before Sammy. I reckon Dave should get the point there.
Boy,
you have to.
I hear what you're doing here, Rampant.
No, Dave. Yeah, definitely needs to answer the question. Like, what would you have said, Dave, out of interest?
But it just got...
What? Youth facilities? Youth facilities? Oh, this is controversial. Wait, so that's 1-1, and I'm pretty sure that means I've won. I've won the quiz. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. My dreams have came true.
So, yes, Sammy did buzz in second after Rampant.
No, I literally said at the same time as Rampant.
He buzzed in again.
Do you have a bonus question?
I do have a tiebreaker as Sammy and Rampant are both on 2 points each.
Right.
Oh, we need to clarify that for the next thing, because I was definitely said at the same time as Rampant.
I agree. I saw that light up, as well.
Well, this quiz is known for its controversial matters.
It's alright, I've had better youth intakes than Sammy, so I'll take that away. That's the more important thing. He can go back to Luton with his 2 points and nothing else.
Okay,
Right.
so tiebreaker question. At what age can players be officially offered a professional contract?
Rampant FM.
Rampant.
18-year-old.
There might be more controversy here.
Dave,
Is it wrong? Is it wrong? Is it wrong? Is it right? I'm really
it's right.
That is correct.
Yes!
I'm
Unbelievable!
pretty sure that's 16, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's 16.
That's a youth contract. Yes, I've won! Yes. I'm so happy. The voodoo is over, the curse is over, right?
You can sign pre-contract agreements 16, 17, and the professional comes into contact at 18.
Yeah.
Controversy.
This is rigged.
See, controversy all over. We should do a podcast on controversial matters.
Well done, Rampant, on your fine victory.
Oh, Dave. Oh, thank you, Dave.
Justice.
I reckon you should... Justice was done, yeah. Dave should have got second, I think. Sammy, I don't know. I think he was cheating or something. I don't know. What was
That's right,
happening.
mate. You take the trophy back. Take the trophy back to your youth intakes. Show them what they can win.
Leading by example.
Exactly.
I think Sammy. Oh wait, I get to host the thing next week, don't I?
Yeah, so
Oh,
winner
dear Lord.
winner of the quiz, Rampant, so you get to host it next week. So
Yes. So Sammy, what's your knowledge about pre-70s football?
Let's not talk about
I think
that.
Sammy's washing his hair next week, mate. He might not be able to make it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm out on top of the roof.
No, I'm only kidding. I'll be fair. Controversial issues has definitely got to be the next one.
So yeah, well done, Rampant. Well played indeed. 3-2 winners on the tiebreaker.
Happy, so happy.
So yeah, moving on to our creator of the week. So every week we shout out a creator that we think has done well during that week or is doing well in the recent period of time, and it could be YouTube, could be a blogger, could be a streamer, could be anything really. It so happens to be that it is another YouTuber, so that's coincidentally 3 YouTubers in a row, but it's not CJ, but it's that guy Jaycee, who we've chosen.
Andrew is Elliot.
But yeah, him and Calvin Andrew
Controversial.
have done really well, and I can only see good things for this guy as long as he keeps determined and keeps going at it. I think his videos are bloody hilarious, and if you've got a sense of humour, watch his YouTube videos. I'll put the link in the description. Go and check him out. Go and follow him on Twitter. Follow him or subscribe on YouTube, and yeah, you'll have a barrel of laughs just watching him.
CJ's fantastic.
Yeah. CJ, you know, he's like the best YouTuber. Better than Cookie in that saying something.
I was going to add a hashtag that he knows about, but it's probably not fit for this for the podcast.
Hashtag road to 200. He's trying to get 200. Oh yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work. Yeah.
Not safe for anything.
That leaves us to do our plugs at the end of the podcast. So, Dave, where can the people find you?
You can find me on youtube.com/DKM Gaming 86, and my Twitter handle is iDKM_86. Those are the two main places.
Awesome. And Sammy?
Obviously, you can always find me on Twitter at TheSammyDoda, and then SammyDoda FM everywhere else around the internet.
And Rampant?
Rampant FM on YouTube, and on Twitter it's at better at quizzes than SammyDoda. It's at Rampant FM as well on Twitter.
No.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. You hold on. Next week, mate. Next week.
He's coming back for you.
You're not. Yeah, I was about to say you're not playing me next week. You're playing Cookie.
No. Okay, the week after, it's coming home, okay? That's what I'm saying.
The quiz is coming home to
you. Oh, brilliant, guys. Awesome.
You can find the podcast at Winging It FM Pod on Twitter, and you can find us on SoundCloud and iTunes and YouTube as well. You can find myself at CookieFM_ on Twitter and at CookieFM everywhere else, Twitch, YouTube and Facebook. And thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. All your feedback is noted, and we are working on the audio issues as we speak.
Sammy did it.
Hashtag table audio, guys.
So hopefully they will be sorted within the coming weeks. You just have to bear with us at the moment, and get involved, like and follow and subscribe on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube and everywhere else. Just give us that feedback when and as you can. That's all from me, so say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Go Sweden.